We started the first plenary session of 2025 on January 13. The opening Eucharist, presided over by Father Luis Ignacio Royce Alonso, was a moment of thanksgiving for God's graces throughout the past year, an invocation of the Holy Spirit for the new year, and in a particular way, for commencing this plenary session. The first 2 days of the session were dedicated to listening to each other through personal reports. Each one of us shared our activities, events, and experiences since the last plenary session. It was a moment of community building after several weeks of being away from each other due to unit visits, meetings, holidays, and other events. The following days included the confirmation of the election of the provincial and councilors of Mexico, appointments of the provincials of the Central European Province, the Lacombe Province, and the appointments of the provincial councils of Australia and one provincial councillor of France. After that, we continued with one of the crucial issues mandated by the General Chapter, restructuring. The Committee of Constitutions and Rules was invited to present their proposals based on the consultations to the whole congregation through 2 questionnaires. This proposal helped us in preparing a draft of global restructuring for the whole congregation. When completed, the draft will be presented at the upcoming Interchapter on August 18th to the 30th in Bengaluru, India. In these hectic days, we took quality time as a community on every Friday evening throughout the session to have faith sharing based on the animation material on the constitutions and rules. This material was produced by the session of animators of Constitutions of Rules in June of last year. The materials were launched by Father General on the day of the 209th anniversary of our foundation via Zoom, with 240 connected participants, both oblates and lay associates, from all corners of the world. In his launching message, Father General encouraged the whole charismatic family to start from our hearts, listening that Jesus invites us to conversion, walking as a community, and a community that commits itself for a whole year to have a heart-to-heart conversations with other members of our family, looking at how to renew our missionary family. In the following weeks, we had a meeting with the presidents of the regions in 2 afternoons via Zoom. We had a beautiful retreat day guided by Father Rufus Whitley, who served as Treasurer General from 1999 to 2011 at the Monastery of the Missionary Benedictine Sisters of Tutsing. In the following day, Father Rufus presented an overview of the OIP, together with Father Charles Rensburg, our Treasurer General. After having an important presentation on finance, we listened to the reports of the Director of JPIC and General Archives. Both presented their activities, plans, and expectations for a better service for the whole congregation. We also listened to presentations on the future works for the General House by Mr. Antonio Finiti, our engineer for maintenance of the General House complex. There were several anniversaries and celebrations during the plenary session. First, we celebrated the Jubilee year with the Universal Church. As a community, we made a pilgrimage to the Holy Door at St. Peter's Basilica. The pilgrimage was followed with a dinner together to celebrate the priestly silver anniversary of Father Capena Shimbome. We also celebrated other silver anniversaries: the first oblation of Father Charles Rensburg and the perpetual oblation of Brother Noel Garcia. These 2 anniversaries were celebrated during our community outing in Orvieto, a beautiful medieval citadel about 125 kilometers north of Rome. During the last week, we welcomed the central government of the Sisters of the Holy Family of Bordeaux. It was a fraternal visit as well as a time for learning from each other how to administer better for our respective congregations. Later that week, we met with the facilitator and moderators in preparation for the interchapter in Bengaluru, India next August. We concluded the plenary session by presenting to the Superior General formal motions on formation, mission, finance, and leadership, approvals of annual budgets, appointments for the General Committee for Formation and the General Committee of Oblate Brothers, and some other appointments and decisions. Finally, the plenary session officially concluded with a mission in Eucharist, presided over by Father General. That evening, we held our traditional closing pizza party, a final time together before we all began to disperse. The following day, many of us had already begun to travel to various meetings, including consultations and visits to the Asia-Oceania units, before we meet again at the joint session in Manila on March 14 to 21, 2025.